Okay, we are back. Cancel. Let me close this, screen share. Does that allow you to share? Did I hit the right button?
Yep. There we go.
Okay.
Okay. Close your eyes until it's ready.
Okay, awesome.
Are you ready now?
I'm ready.
Or what?
Ready.
Okay. Let me
So let me
get back.
so I'm also looking at what looks like not you, but it's just my other screen. I can actually swap these a little bit. That might help, at least for you to know.
Okay, so do you want to, okay, so you saw the first site. Go ahead and give me your thoughts on that, or what were you going to say before you knew I had a draft?
So basically the only thing I was going to point out to you was that the About Me section with the coaching session has a broken link. So it takes you
Yep.
to a 404 error. It's not correct. So that's, if you're changing your site, that should be fixed.
Yeah.
And then also I want to learn more on the mom and the entrepreneurs points. It points to the same page. It doesn't go to another page. So again, if you're changing your site, that's probably fixed. So
And it's so cool. I started to fix some of those things when I came out of the blocks. And then I was like, no, I'm just going to get everything drafted and publish all at one time. And then over this last like 6 weeks, two things have popped up for me that I wouldn't have noticed necessarily prior to that had I not had that experience. But most of my clientele has been referral only based. So they usually just go in there, book a sip and solve, and then like we get into business. People don't really use my website for much other than that until recently. And now I'm getting more out of my like circle of influence, more referrals of a friend kind of deal. And they were coming to get speaker information to hire me to come to their events, and they couldn't find, what they wanted.
yeah, there's no
So,
speaking information on your website.
right, because like that's part of the problem, right? Is, pick one niche and serve it. And I'm like, I'm done with that. I'm going to tell everything.
At risk of making myself sound like a horrible person and at risk of upsetting you, I'm going to tell you my thoughts on your schedule sessions and your website since you're changing it anyway. Is that
Mhm.
okay? Okay, so first of all, the sip and solve, I assume, is your like go-to. I like if I went to your website, that's what I would do. It's free. It looks like it may solve my problem anyway. Like, obviously, you're going to try to upsell me on something, but I imagine that's where it's at. And right now, I think it's 30 minutes.
Mhm.
Just from a outside perspective, because you're going to have limited time eventually, I would push that to 15 minutes.
Good call.
So 15 minutes sounds like long enough to handle one issue and one issue only, where 30 minutes might be, hey, here's my life story, help me, right? So if you make it
Yeah.
15, one, you can fit more in the day, and then two, like it values your time more, right?
Yeah, and we definitely only do really I introduce a thought process, and we take one like present issue that you're dealing with, we work it through, and I show you kind of the value of what it would look like to have that as part of your life.
Okay,
So
so
it's
that being said, if 15 minutes is too short for your process, then keep it at 30. I'm just saying from an outside perspective.
yeah, no, it's something I'm gonna have to work around that because I like the 15 minutes. 30 minutes does look like quite a
And if it needs to be 20 or it needs to be 18 or something
yeah.
crazy, because I think because you're probably using like Calendly or something similar, right?
I
Using
use
some
my
type of
integration on GoDaddy, so
okay, then that's fine
it's
too.
in 5 minute
So
block.
so does it give you some type of like buffer?
Yeah.
Okay, so can you set a beginning buffer and an end buffer?
Yeah, I would do 15 minutes with a 15-minute buffer after, so then I would have
You
a
do the buffer
30.
after?
Yeah.
Okay. So
That way, if I ran a little bit over with their time, then I wouldn't be running into someone else's.
okay. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, I was thinking the opposite, as in like prepping or something too. But
Hmm.
you could set it up for 20 minutes with a 5 and 5 or something, right?
Sure, for
And then,
sure, for sure.
but that way you have a little bit on either side because remember, they can book it right after each other, or they can book it at opposite ends of the day, right?
Mm-hmm,
So,
mm-hmm.
but I think that's going to be your main thing. And in fact, I would throw that to your front page based on your current website, right? I would throw that to your front page and make that the giant call to action. The loss identification, emotion response, the deep dive, it says scaling pricing. So I'm not 100% sure what that means, but I see the creation strategy and the coaching between 5 and 12. So
Mm-hmm.
loss identification, I don't know if that's going to start at 500. I would assume it would, which means I may or may
Well, so I on those, I'm glad that you said that, and I'm really thankful that you decided to look it up and give me the feedback. That has always been a way that I feel really passionately about that, and I don't have a problem charging for it, but I do it based on what they are able to afford. So it is truly a sliding scale
Okay, so
because
it's not a sliding scale because you're charging different prices. It's a sliding scale because you're offering it with what they need.
mhm,
Okay, so
maybe
I don't
just
know if it's appropriate to do so, but if
mhm,
you could find some way to build value and say name your price, like scaling
mm,
makes me think that you're going to charge and it's going to start at 500, and so I may not even call you if that's the issue, right?
mhm, mhm,
But if you say as little as 30 bucks or whatever your magic number is, right? You
mhm.
know, or scales based on ability to pay, or like I don't know what the projects use for their housing, but like they say they have a line that they say that says basically based on income or something like that.
So
So
in the counseling profession, like people that are used to paying for that, sliding scale is the phrase that they use. Um,
again, that's jargon that you use in your industry that I, as someone,
right,
doesn't know, right?
exactly.
And you're
Yeah, exactly,
limiting, and if you're only talking to people that know your industry, you're limiting yourself
for
with all
sure.
your other competition to
Yeah.
those that know
Which is
that
why I'm
phrase.
glad you said I don't know what that means.
Yeah. So again, this is in no way a critique. My website's horrible. So like, like we're all
Oh,
there.
I love it because you're a great person to look at it because you don't know that industry. It is very outside your wheelhouse, so to speak. So
Yeah.
you can give me fresh, but you are somebody who I could help. So it
Yeah.
not
So
that you need my help, but you know what I mean. You're an entrepreneur that may need my services down the road and you need to know what you're looking at. So this
yeah,
is great.
I have a friend that loves to put things in the most vulgar ways possible. And he says to me, he says, "Why sell balloons when you can sell toilet paper? It always smells like crap, but everybody needs it." So the idea is that if you could make something that's accessible to everybody, that everybody understands, then
Mm-hmm.
then I mean there's more opportunity there, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, so scaling just because of the phraseology and where it's placed in the sessions,
Mm-hmm.
like like I'm debating in my head, it's before the 499 and after the
Right.
free, and it looks like things are in
Mhm.
order. So I assume it could be less, but I don't know. So what I would
Yeah.
do to make that clearer is maybe have loss identification, emotional response deep dive. Prices start at $50 an hour, and then have um, loss identification, emotional response deep dive, um, hardship request, prices vary, or something
Mm,
like that. So like basically you're saying you're giving a value because you're giving a value, but then you're saying, hey, there's also these hardship requests. Please do a sip and solve to see if you qualify.
mm-hmm.
Like,
Because I find one of my core values is that everybody needs access to the tools to dig themselves out of a hole. They shouldn't be dependent on someone else to fix the problem all the time. And that's one of the things that I really just there are things that I can serve you and do for you that make your life easier, but fundamentally there are things that I feel like you deserve to know because it's part of my humanitarian thing, right? That's just what I believe in. And when people are struggling with significant pain and loss inside their business that they can't recognize and they're still in out of context, of course I'm using this word, but bootstrapping themselves their way through, not in a healthy way but in a stuff it down and pull yourself up by your bootstraps way, they're missing an essence that will solve problems for them later on. So if I can teach them that and honor their space that they're in right now, maybe they just lost a huge chunk of revenue and they need to get out of this hole, but they can't afford to. So this is my way of saying, like, I'm here for you, and I'm one to work with you because I believe in this so much that you need to have access of it, regardless of your ability to pay for it.
Okay. So from a business side,
Mhm.
I don't have a great answer as far as solutions, but I'm sure you've already considered it. But if you do like a monthly $10 to $30 a month,
Mhm. Mhm.
and now you've got something that you can offer within almost anyone's price range, right?
Correct. And so it is meant to be reduced down to a emotional processing. I teach you fundamental tools. This it is very countercultural to the industries. I don't expect everyone to understand from a business perspective what I do, which is why I do it
So
this way.
yeah.
Uh, but it does teach them patterns and habits. So my hope is I'm bringing them into a community, into a way of doing things, and they will purchase and do other programs with me because they learn a core process and they were able to do it affordably.
So I
Yeah.
take value in what you're offering and what you're doing. So
Mhm.
nothing I'm giving you is against that.
Yeah,
But
no.
but what I'm trying to figure out is if the exercise I'm going through in my head is if I were running your business and I had
Mhm.
the same morals and values, how would I try to approach it?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so my thought, especially on the scaling side, is there some sort of program that you could record yourself doing and teaching that you could essentially provide for free or even $1, right?
Mhm.
And say, look, here's the deal. I charge you $1. The reason I charge you $1 is because this website costs me $1 or, or whatever, right? And you could say, or I'm charging you $2, $5, whatever that magic number is. I'm making it so small that theoretically anyone can scrape up change to do it. However, the purpose of this is to help those who really need it. And the reason I charge rather than give it free, and this is my personal values being projected, but the reason I charge something rather than give it free is because I do value myself and I do value this information. And I want you to understand that this is something I would give away for free, but it costs money to do, right?
Yeah.
So like I just want you to value some of it too. And then I'm willing to pay the majority of the price because I do believe in this cause, but I'm offering it at a price because, right? Like,
Yeah, which is why the sliding scale exists, and just a little rewording will help build additional value and help them see why I do it instead of being like, what's this? This is weird.
yeah.
So
So,
appreciate it.
yeah. So I don't know. Maybe that's a good place for a link, right? Where it says
Yes,
why, what, price varies, see why, and then you click the
right.
button, and then you go on the see why and say, I love what I do. I love helping people, and even though I value this at $3,500, not
Hmm.
everybody that I want to help is in a position to be able to do that. So what I want to do is I want to help anybody no matter where they're at in life. And then when they get on their feet and they're comfortable, I'd rather you join my monthly program, get this help all the time, stay up to date, pay me less on a regular basis, helps pay my bills, helps say thank you for what we've done, but also helps you become a better person, right?
Yeah. No, I totally love that. That's great. I didn't write it all down because I wanted to listen and absorb it. So you'll have to send me the recording.
Yeah, yeah. So I will do that. And then cool. So that was my like big things there. So the creation strategy and the 1 to 6 week coaching, like prices are prices. Frankly, I don't know anything about your market, so I don't know if those are good, high, low, medium. Frankly, it doesn't matter. Um, the only thing I had an issue was on scaling because I didn't know what that meant, which we've already covered. And the sip and solve, my only comment was that when I've seen those in the past with especially high ticket coaching and consulting things, they've been anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes,
Hmm.
usually
Hmm.
less than 30. But like as you get busier, you have to get that 30 smaller and smaller, right?
Absolutely, for sure.
And you'll have to eventually outsource it to, I'm thinking like 5 years out, right? You're gonna have to outsource it to someone on staff. They're gonna have to call and do this, sip and solve with me. who's gone through your
Mhm.
program, who's been vetted and whatever, and then I'm the one that's going to do that. And then if I've been able to say, oh yeah, this is someone that has 10 grand to pay for consulting with you, well, I'm going to pass it on to you and I'm going to get a small commission for helping with that upsell, right? So, but that's something that in the future you'd have to worry about and figure out, whereas right now is not an issue.
Well, that's the part of the 5-year plan is to, and I think I talked to you about this, within the next 12 months, there will be a certification where maybe you don't have your own process, right? But you do value what's being done here. And you want to get a certification to teach the create, build, inspire model.
Yeah.
And so that would, those people that are certified to do it can earn commission from taking those sip and solves and et cetera, et cetera.
Now that CBI thing, is that something you created?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome. Very cool. All right, so show me your new website. I'm excited.
Okay.
So,
All right. So we'll do a little preview version here. So you can see what it looks like as a preview. All right. So this would be the new website.
okay.
And this is my free journal that they can get. And then they go this kind of goes through an explanation of what is the Notice and Wonder journal. The Notice and Wonder is a fundamental mindset that I teach at the baseline of everything that I do. So it's important to me that they see that and know that up front. And get the journal there. And then they are introduced to my create, build, and inspire life growth strategy, how to peace for a multi-passioned life, one strategy for all of life. Cheers to you and all your passions. And then they can click there and go read more about my bio, like who I am and more about that. It's okay to be more of you, basically. And it talks about how I did what I did, just something short. Your purpose isn't something you do, it's who you are. Fulfillment is taking your purpose of who you are and doing something with it.
Yeah.
And then this is what's being edited today, is a little bit about my coaching background, a little bit about my speaking background, a little bit about me as an author.
So is this a one-page design where you click and it drops down to whatever's on the page?
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you mean? Sorry, I guess I should ask you that.
So
What do you
if you go to a new tab and you go to like Nike.com,
Mhm.
I'm doing that from memory. So Nike.com, I think, is a one-page design where if you click, no, maybe it's not anymore. So usually if you click on something at the top, it would drop you down. Oh, it's not anymore.
So
So
this would be like, this is the home page, and they would navigate from here or from the taskbar at the top.
so the get to know me coach, speaker, and author, does that drop down on the same page? So click on coach. That's a better way to do that.
No, it goes to a new page. I guess
Okay.
that's what you're saying.
Okay,
Mhm.
yeah. So that's what I was asking. Okay. All right, so it's a
So
different page. So you
yeah,
have
so
all the information on the home page, but you have separate pages for that stuff.
mhm.
And I'm assuming you have links to those things on the home page to those pages.
Yep. So here they would be, if they decided to go this one, choose your own adventure, and they were like, I need to know more about her. They clicked there. There are sections that continue them on to go to the coach. Like there's links everywhere to get them where they need to be. They wouldn't have to go back to the homepage. A little tiny bit about me, and then they have these tabs where they can go do that. Go visit all
So
of those.
I love your
There's a
mobile view because without moving the page at the top there, like I don't have to click, I don't have to do anything. It's all exactly what I want. Coach, speaker, like I wouldn't even click on that. I would click on coach, speaker, author, or subscribe here. Like those are the 4 buttons that I would click on.
these are not clickable. This is just a graphic.
Oh, you should make it clickable.
Okay. Maybe if I make this clickable, this picture here clickable, and it jumps them down to this section here, maybe, or
No,
just
you got to
this up.
make it clickable. Pay someone to do it correctly.
Okay.
It'll cost you 20 bucks on Fiverr.
It won't, because you can't do that on GoDaddy doesn't let you do that. So you have
Can't
to
do a
be
CSS overlay.
I don't know. I guess I don't know. I'll have to investigate it.
So, well, here's the thing on Fiverr. If you pay someone to do it and they don't do it, you don't pay them.
True.
So it's not a big deal as far as that
So
goes,
I
right?
just need I could do a CSS overlay here where these would be then clickable.
Yeah. Or you could do an IMAP on the image. Like there's different ways to make images clickable, like one image clickable in multiple spots.
Okay, that's the key that I didn't know how to do, is to make one image clickable in different spots.
Yeah, so I would 100% make those clickable.
Because right
Like,
now this is the only one that's clickable on that. And that takes them
and
to
that's technically the same thing. That's an overlay, right?
uh,
So, and your website looks very pretty. Obviously, you're a better designer than I am, but I would just I would make those clickable and make them go exactly where
okay,
they want to go, right?
right. So if they go to the clicked on the coach, this is where I would take them, is about my 3 coaching programs that I have available right now where they could go do that.
So
Uh,
I my first thought is it doesn't tell me enough about what they are to know immediately what to click on. I'm sure I could read all that
okay.
and know it all that I need to know. But
Okay.
lazy me wants to, at a glance, know that's what I should click on.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Not something you should stress over, but I'm just giving you feedback.
No, I appreciate that. I'm just processing what that would look like to have the lazy button like this says,
The idea to impact looks great
okay, you know
because
it.
the light bulb means idea, and that chart thing is like growth.
Mm-hmm.
And it says grow from idea to impact, create, build, inspire, idea to so when now like the image tells me what you're saying, and then you say it in 3 other different ways.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Okay.
immediately known to me that's what it is. And I
Mm,
go, what does that mean? And I said, not a mommy boss. You don't have to be. This course is for all entrepreneurs. Boom. So
okay.
in fact, I might what's the far left one?
This one is that's the foundation, the create, build, inspire. So it would be something you'd go through just to learn the foundations of the program.
So I would probably title that one at the top. I'm just thinking. I would call that like
Start here.
yeah, or foundations, start here. Here's the basics.
That is really, I mean, they need to start here for idea to impact to really be leveraged. There's a tutorial in the idea to impact, but they need to know the foundations. So this one is the far left is meant to be a mini course to take them through those foundational steps so they can start applying it. And then from there, I have these different ways that they can actually apply that to their lives.
So again, not a designer talking, so don't take it as like anything
No.
crazy. But I would say start here, and then instead of you, I would say learn about the create, build, inspire life growth strategy.
Gotcha.
And so
Okay.
it would just be like real big, learn the basics, start here, here's what you're learning.
Got it.
And then for the engaged and empowered, you have pictures of women and it says
Mhm.
engaged. Are you talking about like married women?
So the
I
mommy boss life is engaged in motherhood, empowered in business.
I understand that, but I'm just telling you there's
Right.
a double
Yeah,
entendre there, right? So
totally.
because of that, even though it shouldn't be confusing, you're
It
taking
is.
mom and women and pictures of ladies and you're writing the word engaged and empowered. So if I were to not know what you're talking about, I would think that it's for fiancés who are empowered to do something, right?
Yeah.
I know that's
Yeah.
crazy sounding, but like,
No, I'm not offended. I'm processing. So
yeah,
yes, I get it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So like uh maybe have the engaged and empowered. Oh, you already have it. Engaged motherhood, empowered business.
Yeah.
I would keep that like that. Maybe even drop one below the other so you can make them bigger and read them. And then I would get rid of the light blue on the top and bottom of that. That just looks like a bad image.
Oh, okay.
It just looks like a poorly edited image. It doesn't look like it's supposed to be that way.
Gotcha.
So I would either do like you did with the crate build inspire and put like a circle around it, a black circle, or I would just, yeah, I would have to put, yeah, they're all circles. So I'd put something around it, but I'd have a match just for continuity. Again, not a designer, just
No,
saying,
all the feedback, welcome.
yeah. And then
So,
instead of engaged and empowered, I would say mommy boss, and I would say our signature growth strategy for moms, something like that. Engaged,
yeah, I'll just
empowered
carry
business.
up instead of engaged and empowered, I'll just carry the mommy boss life, and then, you know, it's a little more clear that way.
Yeah, but idea to impact, I would take, I'd probably get rid of the idea to impact. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to take the very top pieces and say, here's
Get
the
rid of
person
them.
that clicks here. Here's a person that clicks here. Here's a person that clicks here. So for me, it would be start here to learn what we do.
Uh-huh.
If you're a mom, click here. If you're not a mom and you're an entrepreneur, click here. Or if you're an entrepreneur, click here. So if you're a mom, but you identify more as an entrepreneur, click on this one. If you're a mom and entrepreneur, click here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So right now you're telling me if I'm not an entrepreneur, you don't want my business. I'm not saying that that's good or bad. I'm just saying that's what it would seem like.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, or maybe the left is like everyone start here.
Correct.
If you're an
So,
entrepreneur, click here. If you're a mom and an entrepreneur, click here. So maybe you do it 1, 2, 3 where it goes through. Hey,
Hi.
you're gonna leave me?
Mm-hmm.
This is Miss Jessica. You wanna say hi, Miss Jessica?
hi.
Miss Jessica.
Say I'm
Hi,
Amy.
sweetie.
You had new memos?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe. That's fine.
Me too.
Yeah, you're just looking. Okay. All right, so
Love it.
all right, great. So, but yeah, so like if you do everyone, entrepreneurs, moms and entrepreneurs, then it's got a semi-logical progression, or it's more specific as you go. But then
Right.
again, if you're focusing on mommy blog, then maybe you make mommy blog super huge in the middle, and then on the side you have everyone, and the other side you have entrepreneurs. So
Mm-hmm.
where
Yeah.
these Venn diagrams overlap of everyone and moms and entrepreneurs and moms, that's where your focus is, but you also have stuff that helps other people.
Correct. Correct.
So
Yeah. This over here to the left, like this is, if you're not an entrepreneur, you still need that. It's over there. And then if you're a mom entrepreneur here, and then if you are just a new entrepreneur that needs some to nurture their creative strategy and needs to take themselves to the next level, recreate, rebrand, all of that stuff, you're going to take your idea and do your impact with it. So this is kind of like all other entrepreneurs.
So my head went with the Venn diagram for a minute. So if you take the left one and say moms, you take the right one and say entrepreneurs, take the middle one and say mommy boss, and make that a little bit bigger where it kind of overlaps.
Mm-hmm.
I would have to hire a graphic designer to make that pretty and look good. But if you did that, you're kind of eliminating non-entrepreneur males or non-mom, non-entrepreneurs, but
Right.
you're really focusing on what you help the best. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't think that's bad,
Mm-hmm.
right? I
Mm-hmm.
just think that you have to be aware of who you're alienating and why, you know?
Right.
And then maybe at the bottom below, say not a mom, not an entrepreneur, but still want some help. Here's a program that might be able to help you, and then make that your free like webinar, right?
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
So you know,
Yeah,
or
because I definitely don't want to alienate people like yourself where
well,
you're a dad.
I would fall under entrepreneur,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
But if I were
Correct.
working 9 to 5 for an employer, I mean, I may look at it and be like, well, this is stupid, you know, like, or this is not for me. I mean, frankly, I probably wouldn't go past the first page because I'm not into pretty stuff. I want like results. So like if I don't see exactly what I want when I want it, I just will skip over it.
Yeah, totally.
So
No, I definitely respect that and I understand that.
so But anyway, yeah, I mean, obviously I'm not trying to tell you to redo your program, but I just,
Nope, it's good feedback. I have a test crew of more of that demographic that I do help. So I'll be interested to overlay some of the feedback. And what you said from a tactical standpoint or from a strategic standpoint makes sense. And it's interesting to see how much opinion is part of people's strategy, and they can't separate the opinion from the strategy. And they're two very different things, right? Your opinion's how you feel about it, and your strategy is what's going to get results.
Yeah.
So you need to be able to strip out. And it's one of the things we do in our evaluation processes with others is, all right, let me show you how much of your opinion is actually part of this. And they're like, what? I'm cool. Like I'm cool. I'm like, no, you're not cool, because you made this based on what you thought you'd click. That's your opinion.
Yeah.
You need to have a strategic approach to things. So it's good for me because sometimes my opinions get in there, and because it's very, it's part of what I do and why I do it. So
and
it's
I think
totally
we
fine
talked
with
about,
me.
think about what you talked about this on the blocks too, is like, you're very emotional, lovey-dovey, feely, interpersonal, and I'm very much, I don't care anything about you. I just want stuff done. So like,
Mhm.
we're almost diametrically opposed in that position. So, I mean, obviously I still care about people, but it's
Sure.
just, I'm not great at showing it in the same way, or it's not forefront of my mind in the same way. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, but that's cool. All right, well, awesome. Yeah, I think, I mean,
So then
Frank,
if they clicked on my speaker section, it would just tell them the options for hiring me to come out and talk to you about different things.
okay, so
They could,
why did you have to scroll down to see this?
because there's a request up at the top. So
Okay,
I can bump it to the bottom, but this lets them get my bio one sheet. They join my email address, they get the one sheet, and they can send it to their teams to make the decision on hiring me to come speak.
okay. So if this were my website, based on what I'm looking at, I would have a banner at the top that's small that says, click here to get a one sheet, like tells me what to click on for what I want, then immediately go into this looks like the content that I want to see. And then below it, maybe put that big one where they can do it on the page.
Gotcha. Okay. Like, so have just two of them then.
Yeah, so like at the very top, so even in your mobile site, have a very small banner that says, click here if you just want my one sheet. Click here to
Okay.
give me your email to get your one sheet or whatever. So like they know they're giving an email, they know they're getting a one sheet or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
for corporate, they probably just want to print that out, right? They don't want to deal with all this. But on a smaller group or something else, like I may want to read all these and see if any of them actually fit what we're talking about before I bother my boss with it, right?
Right. Because that's what happened this last week. There was someone who wanted to hire me to do some stuff, but they're like, I don't even know where to go. I need your sheet. I need something to, it was like a month ago. They didn't have a one sheet. So she reached out to me and she was like, that would be really handy if I could just go to the website and like download it. I was like,
So what are these more info buttons doing?
that would send them to contact me and tell me about their organization or what they want me to come and do.
Okay, and all those go to the same page?
Yeah.
Okay, so I would probably get rid of all that too. I would
So
say,
let
I
them
would
do it.
say something to the effect of click here for one sheet on this item would make sense.
Okay.
Because otherwise it's just under those three, I do one button that says request more info. Under the next three, request more info, right? Because right now it's super busy with a bunch of extra links that I would open all of those in new tabs thinking I was getting more information on each one.
I see. Mm-hmm.
And then I wouldn't, and then I would be wrong. It would be an assumption. I'd get upset at myself, but I would project that onto whoever built the website.
So it's not helpful for you to click there and
So
go to
okay, so block season 6. Here's what we learned from block season 6. Test
yeah,
it, gather data, see what actually
sure,
works and makes you money. Just because
sure.
it's my opinion doesn't mean it's right.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah.
So, but
So me thinking, what the strategy I had was I can't really they're not going to be able to book me without a consultation anyway, and I need to know about their event. So it doesn't matter to me which one they pick. I just need them to see my
Okay,
like
so go
topic.
back one page, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'm gonna
No,
tell you what's in my
fine.
head. If you go to the very top,
Hang on, sorry.
speaker, yeah, you go to the very top, I would do one small banner that says, for a one sheet of all my dynamic topics, click here. And then it'll take you to a page or to the bottom of this page, and it says, I'm looking forward to meeting you in your community. I don't even think that's appropriate for that call to action. I would say, for what I'm saying, I would have it go to a page similar to this where it says, please give your email below so I can send you our one sheet. Be sure to schedule a free sip and solve to have a 30-minute consultation to see how we can work together and so I can answer any questions about your event. Like I would send them directly to that, since that's what you're talking about anyway. And I would say, this is one way that you can get a booking. Like just get the one sheet so you have it all, so your boss has something or you have something, and then schedule a sip and solve so that we can have some coffee and figure out how we can help your event. Like that's one path to booking. And then immediately under, just the way I do things, I would say, how to book me for an event. Step 1, read through the dynamic topics listed below to find something that matches your theme. 2, click here to schedule a sip and solve so we can figure out how I can customize my talk to your event and audience. 3, book me knowing, book me in complete confidence, knowing that your community and I will absolutely love one another or whatever, right? And so you've got 1, 2, 3, and then go into dynamic topics. So now there's some content above that fold. It gives them, tells them, it like tells me what to do, right?
Yeah, for
Makes
sure.
it easy to do it, and then it goes on. And then the dynamic topics, I don't think necessarily you have to do the click here for more info, because you're not really giving more info. And at the bottom, I would say, again, if you'd like more info, click here to schedule a sip and solve. I'll be happy to discuss any of these in detail.
Yeah, I'm visioning just more of a, they call it a menu page, but like just there's the graphic with a short little description of it, and that's what they can just scroll through.
Yeah. So again, I'm not telling you this is better or worse. I'm just telling you what I would do in my head.
It's simpler, and definitely needs simple over anything else. So people will stay with you a little bit longer if it's simple than they will if it's complicated. So
yeah. So yeah, I'm just trying to tell you where my head goes with that. Because
absolutely,
again,
it's a valuable perspective because we think very, very differently. So I appreciate it.
yeah, and I think that the people going to this page are probably going to think more like me, because they're in managerial positions, they're in leadership or ownership positions, they may or may not be women. It may be a guy that was tasked to book you and doesn't care anything about you, just has to fill a role. Like you're going to get different types of people that are going to be here, right? So at this, and you obviously you're going to have plenty of your own demographic, but they're covered, right? Like they're going to like you no matter what. And even if your website, not saying it is, but even if your website was like strutting through the weeds and mud and dirt, they'll do it because they like you. It's the people that don't know anything about you you're trying to win over, right?
Correct.
So, but anyway,
this is not for everyone who knows me. This is for if you didn't know me, what should I need to obviously grab you by the hand the minute you land on the page and take you through the thing.
I'm an SEO guy that specializes in content marketing, but I tell you what, if that was your entire website, what I'm looking at right now, that's beautiful.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Thanks. So because you have, scroll down a little bit, just to some content area, doesn't matter where. Just so any of this content here, if you can put this anywhere else,
do it.
Do it. So the way SEO works, just to kind of give you like a 2-second overview. Google doesn't rank your website and then your
Mhm.
sub pages based on your website. It ranks one individual page. So
Yeah,
on your homepage, if you write about your coaching, and then you have a coaching page that writes about coaching, and then you have a blog that writes about coaching, you're technically ranking all three against one another, and Google's going to pick one, right? I wouldn't
okay.
think too much into that, but just know that it exists, right?
Hmm.
Your homepage will rank. So I would not worry about any of that. But if you just go to this, like on your mobile right there, where it says, hey, you're here, let's create, build, and inspire together. Coach, speak, author, subscribe here for water. And then right under that, like right, what they say, right under the fold, I might do one more link that says, learn about my create, build, inspire growth formula.
Got it.
And then that would take people to the thing, right? And
So,
that's
yeah.
sip and solve there. Like this is great for the sip and solve page.
Oh, okay. So like
Like
just put link there.
now this is beautiful, right? Like I love this. It looks like it's a lot of images and not text, which is not great for
Correct.
SEO, but it still looks pretty, right?
Yeah.
So
And I could add, I mean, there's nothing that would stop me from adding some text down there in the text block instead of it just being the image with a click button. I could definitely do that with a short little description.
so I'm assuming you're doing this yourself and that you're not paying people to do it. But if I were paying someone to do it, I would have them build each of those things out on my homepage so that when it went to mobile, they would drop down in the order I wanted them. And it would essentially be two different websites with the same look, because the sip and solve probably is going to look the same but smaller on your mobile, is my guess. Yeah, and you can't read that on mobile. So I would have that sip and solve and then the definition be really big, and then I would drop all of those testimonials down into other places. If it were right, it would be
Yeah.
a different image, it'd be a different something on
Yeah.
mobile. But again, if you're doing it yourself, maybe that's too complicated to worry about right now. But if you
It
keep your site simple, it'll be easy to transfer. It only costs like maybe $2,500 to get it transferred over to like a pretty site later.
right, right. Yeah, and mostly I have kept it doing it myself. One, I like to do the design work. That is fun for me. And two, get testing it and then redoing it and testing and then that's just a lot of back and forth and I can do the basics of it and so until I have it the way I want it to be forever and ever amen so to speak
Yeah.
it's easier for me to do it myself than try to create the vision with somebody else if that makes sense for
And
now.
that's what I'm saying too. Like you can do it yourself and then
Yeah.
find an artist that's good at what they do and say, this is what I want it to look like.
Right
I
now
just want it to
convert.
look better. I want it to work better. I want mobile to be just as pretty as this. I think the desktop is perfect. I'm open to some slight variations, but I think the desktop is perfect. How do we make the mobile look just as good?
Yeah. Oh, I think for now, essentially, I think what you said that getting the CSS overlay, is that what you said?
Yeah, I would just, and for stuff like that, I just go to Fiverr and say, who can I pay to do
Absolutely.
this?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but
I
yeah,
just tell them you need this to click to be clickable and then make it happen.
but your website is beautiful. And I think, like I said, this alone, if you can make those clickable, is gorgeous. And
Yeah.
also what you could do is you could redo your website. Anyway, there's a couple different ways to do it, right? So, but either way, if you get your website to have just that top part and have those clickable, I personally feel that that's gorgeous. And then you can
Hmm.
use all the stuff that you've put all the design work in on the main page, make those your landing pages for coach, speaker, author, and Pinterest stuff.
Right.
And then you have all the content below it. So now on those pages that you want to rank, you have the content and you have the pretty stuff on top with the links and call to actions, right?
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, but it is beautiful. It's way prettier than mine.
Well,
So
as long as it, that was a branding strategy for me to just brand myself as coach, speaker, and author and have that to be concurrent because it's too difficult to I found myself too many times having to say, well, I also do this and also do this. And I'm like, that's it. We're just bringing it all together and that's it. That's what I am.
That's awesome. Awesome.
So
Well, hey, Jessica, it's been wonderful and a blast. I'm so glad I got to spend some time
I
with
didn't
you.
even get to hear about your stuff because we went down the rabbit hole of my website. So
No, it's perfectly fine. And as much as I love talking about myself, I've got another to jump on. So we can, if you want, we can schedule something else later.
I would love that because I want to hear what you learned and I want to hear all of what that growth meant for you because I think you're amazing and I love what you do and how generous you are with other people. And when you see something, you say something, and that's extremely underutilized skill set in our profession, right? There's a lot of competition in entrepreneurship. And I think when you find people like yourself that when they see something, they're generous with their ideas. And so thank you for being willing to even check it out. I wasn't even planning on us having that conversation. I was just wanting to hear all the goods from season 6.
Well, they're good. They're crazy. It'll be fun. But so
Yeah. Well, yeah, holler at me when you have some more time. I know you're trying to get through all these this week, but Jonathan Fudge, everybody, season 4 and season 6, the man to have in your corner and for all of your events. You need a little help me plan your event from afar DIY program that you can have people go through.
that is actually a really good idea that I may have to implement. Well, thank you very much, Jessica. I'm going to go ahead and let you go. I'm going
All
to
right. See ya.
recording here.